Okay, good morning everyone. We are back again with another live stream from Nasdaq market. Today we are April 28th and we validated the NFP week. As you can see here, I have a Nasdaq chart and we have around 7 minutes to open bell. So let's have a quick overview from daily chart. In the daily chart, we can see that we have traded into this new week opening gap, or new day opening gap, I'm sorry, that is coupled with the order blocks here and this fair value gap of CB. I only highlight the fair value gap of CB and I extend this to have it for future. All right. Or even we drop to 1 hour chart and we can see in the 1 hour chart we were trading above this swing high over here on last Friday, and after that we created in the last hour of trading this week over here. So what I would like to do is measuring this week and showing the consequent encouragement at 19,572. And then, oops, I did a mistake. This can be like this. This one. And this is consequent encouragement of hourly week. We drop to 15-minute chart in order to highlight our sell side liquidities and buy side liquidity. Okay, here we can see I highlighted this sell side liquidity from the Asian session today that is happening on Sunday's evening, and we have a relative equal lows over here that is coupled with the high of the new day opening gap from last Friday, and after that touching 3-4 times the high of the new day opening gap, market started rallying higher in the London session, and after that we had a little consolidation. After 8 or 7 we started another run going higher and we touched the high of the new week opening gap of current week, and we are almost touching the consequent encouragement of weekly hour. Okay. Okay, now I apologize for the missing voice. We get back to the chart and we drop to 1 minute chart so we can visit when the market is opening. 30 seconds to the opening bell. Okay, so far so good. Here we do have a 15-minute chart and the configuration of 5-minute chart is here. Okay. This is our daily C. Okay, we open the. Okay, nice. I'm favoring today for visiting lower prices and going towards this sell side liquidity of the Asian session. So, in my opinion, we already tried to reach the consequent encouragement of the hourly wick, and it was much easier to accept the idea for going lower after touching this, but we have to wait here and let's see how the market is behaving over here. Okay, once again trying to reach the week consequent encouragement of hourly wick. Let's see what happens over here. Notice that we didn't tap to the sell side liquidity over here. I'm highlighting this as a minor sell side liquidity. We tap to the hourly consequent encouragement, and now we have to wait for the market to present the first presented fair value gap of the. Okay, we see after touching the level I mentioned, the market dropped suddenly, and now once again we are trying to reach to this. This is the candle of 9:30 open, and I would like to highlight this opening price. For today and this week, we do have a NFP, so we are in NFP week. In this week, we are interested to trade on the first portion of the week, which is Monday, Tuesday, and we have to conclude our trading by Wednesday 11 a.m. New York local time. We can see the market drop to the sell side liquidity I mentioned, and first presented fair value gap of afternoon on Friday, last Friday. Considering the overall view of the market on Friday, and it failed to reach to the 30-40% of the range in weekly candle, I'm expecting to have a kind of peak run lower. Let's see what happens over here. We do have another sell side liquidity over here that I mentioned. Okay, most likely we are going to have our first presented fair value gap over here that is coupled with the breaker block in this row. So we are just waiting for it and see what happens. So far the market only started going lower. I'm setting a sell position over here, and let's see if the market is reaching to fill my order, the target, and my stop loss. Just fell short by the spread to touch. Okay, we got filled with a big slippage, and let's see how the market is behaving from here. We touched the low of the current new week opening gap over here. So far everything goes very well, and I'm waiting just for the market to see if it fills my target or not. We are almost there. We just need to be patient and give the market right and time. Once again, we tapped into the first presented fair value gap of today. And now we are exploring lower prices. The price of the market here is a little consolidation, because on the 5-minute chart I can see we are into a little problematic rather, but let's see. I'm zooming out a little bit for the market to see these levels. Over here are the sell side liquidity that I mentioned from pre-market of today. Just let me do a little bit of settings. Alright, now we have a little more clear price runs. Notice that we are only touching the lower half of the first presented fair value gap of today, and each time we are getting far from it. Now I'm expecting within next two candles to go lower and fill my TP, or it can also go up and touch my stop loss. The excitement in the market right now at this time is very high, and you can see from these big back and forth candles that are formed in the marketplace. Whatever goes down, the market is taking back. And honestly, if it doesn't go to my TP within next candle, I would probably stop this position. We are touching the consequent encouragement of the first presented fair value gap of today. Okay, the first position, even though it was going low and getting very close to our target, our stop hit and we are out. Once again, we touched the high of the new week opening gap, and let's see. The level of excitement today is very high. I can see from these big candles, and I just need to be more patient. It's all right. Right now, I'm interested and focusing to see the reaction to this consequent encouragement of this week. Okay, getting back into the new week opening gap of this week. Once again, we touched the consequent encouragement of the week in hourly chart, and we are marching higher prices. I apologize. I don't know why today the mouse of the computer that I'm using is not working properly, and it's clicking and not clicking for the times it wants. It's out of my control, and sometimes it's dragging objects that are not my intention. So far we are trying to reach higher prices, and let's see. Notice that after leaving this first presented fair value gap of today, we didn't have any retracement And honestly, I'm not very interested to see market going higher prices because we can see the entire session, we were entire day from opening, we were going higher and higher.
with double and then with double and then
Okay, now let's see if the market is retracing back to the first presented fair value gap. The market is now still going higher and higher. We have to be patient for kind of retracement. Okay, now we can see the market is stopping a little bit over here, and let's see in the 1 hour chart to have a better overview. In the 1 hour chart, we can see we reached to this order block over here, and we closed the CB. So we are expecting to see kind of reaction at this point to the market. Now we are moving lower to reach to this BC over here. That is kind of match with the breaker block over here. I'm writing and annotating for you for the block. I'm talking about this one. And the inefficiency, I was talking this two. If I'm expecting to close below this 1 minute inefficiency and use this as an inversion fair value gap and tries to send price lower, but let's see if the market is actually behaving in this way or not. So far we respected to the fair value gap over here. You have to remember that this is our daily CB that I mentioned in the beginning of the live stream. I just turned it off because it was bothering me a little bit for colors. And now let's see if we close below this fair value gap. Okay, we did. I would like to put a sell order over here with the target of first presented fair value gap, and yes, our position is filled right now, and I'm waiting for the market to see if it delivers to my target or not. Okay, we are now trading above the new week opening gap. Oh, sorry, this is new week opening gap. Okay, touching the opening price at 9:30 once again. At this point, I would like to reduce my risk and put my stop above the breaker block high over here. So if the market returns, I don't have any price paying to the market. Just above the first presented fair value gap of today. We are trading into this BC over here around the opening price at 930. We tapped into the first presented fair value gap and a little bit more, maybe, yes. Our position for the second time got filled in profit, and we secured the profit of 800. The first position we lost, and it's not a problem. Turning back to the market, I'm expecting still the market going lower and comes to this sell side liquidity over here, as this is the magnet to the price in the market. We have to consider also the first sell side liquidity of the day at 19,483 didn't get tapped, and we have to expect something like that for today. Look at the bodies of the candle. The wick is 1 or 2 tick out of the first presented fair value gap, but the body is closed inside. Now we are trading below the first presented fair value gap. And yes, we closed below that. Let's see if we have the ability to get back to the first presented fair value gap. I can see that on US we already passed through the low at 936. Meanwhile on Nasdaq we didn't pass at this candle, this low. Okay, right now we traded below that, and let's see if we have the ability to reach to this sell side liquidity from pre-market at 657. These are relative equal lows that are resting below the market, and they have a pool of liquidity of orders from sell stops resting below these equal lows, relative equal lows. Getting closer to the sell side liquidity, and we just traded below these relative equal lows, and this was my target of the day for this session. And let's see if we have ability to trade below and reach to this sell side liquidity of the Asian session or no. At this moment I'm expecting kind of retracement to coming around this fair value gap over here, that is coupled with the breaker block, bearish breaker block, and then after that sending the price lower. So I'm highlighting the area of my interest. And still the market is trading and trying going lower in order to reach to this sell side liquidity from Asian session that you can see in the 15-minute chart over here. I highlighted this, and the price that is sell side liquidity is 19,392 and a quarter. Okay, now the market is trading a little bit above, and for those who are a little risky, they can decide to enter after tapping into this sell side liquidity once again, because in a higher perspective this can be seen as a breaker block, bearish breaker block, as you can see here in the 5-minute chart, or even 15-minute chart is more clear. High, low, and higher high. Here we have this last time close candle as our breaker block in the 15-minute chart. The low of this candle happened at 19,466.25, and that's it. We can see 66.24. Yeah, it's around here. We see the market traded into this, and after that let's see the reaction of the market. Now market is trying to reach this fair value gap over here, that is a type of CB. I'm not interested in opening another position for today because the level of volatility is quite high, but this can be another ideal scenario for going short and trying to reach this sell side liquidity over here. We tapped into the fair value gap over here. Note that you have to consider the volume imbalance also in these two candles, the difference between the bodies between these two candles, you have to consider that as well. Here this can be another bearish breaker that I'm watching, this down close candle. I consider this one because the body of this candle is lower with respect to this candle over here. So we traded into the midpoint of fair value gap, and yeah, so far on ES we are a little behind touching the order breaker block, So let's see. We have 13 seconds left to closing this candle. Note that above this fair value gap is the first presented fair value gap of today. That is type of CB, sell-side inefficiency, sell-side imbalance, buy-side inefficiency, on November 28. You can see the second candle also closed inside the fair value gap, and as you know, the wicks are permissible and allowable to go out of the fair value gap, but the bodies are important part of the candles and they're sitting inside the fair value. And we have a nice reaction from this price over here, trying lower prices. Now we are trading inside this 5-minute CB fair value gap over here. I'm highlighting this, and we have several things at this price over here. We have the low of the new week opening gap, consequent encouragement, and the low of the current first presented fair value gap for today, as well as this breaker block. So all of these things together overlapping are making me more sure and secure for trying and sending price lower, and it must be very difficult for the price to pass this range over here because we have a lot of liquidity resting below the market price over here. We are still trading inside the breaker block over here, as well as low of the 5-minute fair value gap type of CB. So let's see. The bodies of the candle are still resting inside that 1-minute fair value gap. We touched the low of the first presented fair value gap of today, and I'm expecting kind of reaction over here from this first presented fair value gap. I don't like to see any close above the consequent encroachment of the first presented fair value gap. Just let me turn off this line over here, this line over here, and yeah. We kind of failed to touch the low of the new week opening up for today, this week. Getting back into the fair value gap in 1 minute. Alright, we failed to touch the midpoint of the first presented fair value gap. As you can see, we traded in the consequent encouragement of 5 minutes CB, and we have a kind of reaction over here, trying to go lower. For today, still I'm focusing on the sell side liquidity for this morning session, which is between 9:30 and 11 a.m. New York local time. So we have a kind of good reaction from this first presented fair value gap and the midpoint of the 5-minute CB. Once again, we are trying to touch the low of today's first presented fair value gap. So, as I said, yeah, today we have a little more excitement in the market price. We shouldn't get excited and follow and chase the market. We have to stick to the plans and rules. So if we are losing, we know we are losing for a good reason, and the reason is getting experience and learning. But if we kind of enter the market based on our emotions or impulsiveness, in the end of the day, the only thing we have is negativity and sorrow for our losses. Even if we win, we have kind of not that pure happiness for winning, because we know it's mostly luck. I have all of these problems, and this is the reason I'm doing these live streams, in order to make myself cope to the situation and follow the rules, not disobeying my own rules. I don't want to go and beat myself up in the marketplace, so I have to make an environment for myself in order to make myself more disciplined and kind of improve my characteristic, my weaknesses, to decrease and limit my weaknesses This is the only way, in my opinion, you can be successful in trading. So far we are in very dirty consolidation over here, and I'm expecting this happens in the next 5 minutes because we are trading inside this breaker block over here, and there is a kind of macro in the market that happens between 10:20 to 10:40 New York local time, and we are inside this breaker only. We didn't leave this breaker for a good run with a big displacement, so at this point we are just kind of accumulating for positions. This is my opinion. What I have to do is just waiting and being patient so I get more confirmation from the market. Well, we got kind of movement into the first present to fair value gap of the day, and let's see what we have over here in the ES chart. We are still in the consolidation around the same price and lower from 939 candle, which is in this red candle over here, our breaker block, and we are trading not into the first presented fair value gap but below that. Okay, 2 more minutes to the starting time of the macro, and let's see what happens over here. I think this kind of thing is a little too strong for my taste. I'd like it to be a little dimmer like this, so I can see a little more price actions. Notice that so far we are only trading in the lower part of the 5-minute CB, which is favorable to us, and we don't like in a bearish market to see trading above the consequent encouragement of inefficiencies. In this case, this is what I'm expecting to see from market and from the candles. nobody's going about the consequent encouragement. Of course, it is permissible to go and close above the consequent encouragement, but trading in a upper portion of the inefficiency is not very favorable to us. Once again, I would like to review the reasons for the second position over here and what I entered short over here, because as you can see, we kind of reached to a higher time frame PDRA, that is the consequent encouragement of hourly candle, hourly wick. Then over here we have a breaker block, and we have this inefficiency over here, that is a type of BC. But once the price reached at a certain point over here, and I told you on the 1 hour chart, we closed the BC over here, CB, I apologize. We closed the whole CB over here, and we tapped into the white candle over here. That is my order block, bearish order block at 19,608. If we drop down to 1 minute chart once again, we can see the high of this candle is 19,623 even. So when we kind of drop below this 19,608, this price line over here, I was kind of sure that we tapped into the hourly order block in this area, and we have a displacement with this candle over here, and this gap, this CB forming over here should not be filled, because this is after touching the hourly order block, and this is considered as our displacement. So I consider this fair value gap over here as this candle reached and closed it inside this fair value gap. I consider this one should act as an inversion fair value gap. That's why I changed the color to orange. And you can see as soon as this candle closed below that, this fair value gap became inversion fair value gap. So the market tries to reach to this fair value gap and offers prices over here, and in the very next candle starts going lower. This was the whole reason of the entering for the second position. For the first position over here, that was our loss. The position was based on the first presented fair value gap model, and I was aiming the sell side liquidity over here, because we had this type of reaction over here in the market. I was expecting within 2-3 candles we reached to my objective of the sell side liquidity, because we paired and we passed through this sell side liquidity, this minor one over here, very shortly with this candle. But in any case, we got very close to this target, but it didn't get filled, and it returned and hit my stop loss that was placed above the first presented fair value gap high. Let's back to the market, and you can see here, let me create this. We have 1020 to 1040. This is what I call macro time. that is happening around the breaker block over here. It is not very visible, but we can put like these colors. Okay, this looks a little better. At this point we traded above the 5-minute CB and we filled the whole first presented fair value gap. And now let's okay, we still respected with our bodies the first presented fair value gap, and after that we have a displacement going lower. Just expanding these levels for more clarity. If your model is the first presented fair value gap, we can always try to set an order over here, and let's see, in this candle for example we have 26 handles. The bare minimum thing you can do is getting 20 handle, which is something like this, with one tick to cover the prices, and you can see from the first presented fair value gap within only seconds we traveled 20 handles, and that is a considerable amount of money. You just need to stick to your plan and to your studying, and that's it, nothing more. I don't want to make it more complex. It's already very difficult for starting, and you need to have a lot of patience, a lot of practice in order to get a good result in this market. Now I'm saying that this fair value gap is acting quite good, or I don't know, maybe this is kind of part of my studying and learning the market, but sometimes when this happens that we have two types of fair value gap from BC and CB form, I cannot understand exactly which one I should consider first and more effective, because both of these fair value gaps in my opinion are working in a valid way. If you will notice here, the candles are respected, and this one is also respected. So for this reason I am not very sure which of the fair value gaps I have to consider. What I can do is just keep this as my fair value gap that I was interested and see. Okay, over here what I see is this fair value gap formed here, and I'm expecting price going lower after touching this fair value gap. Let's see if it happens. A kind of institutional entry drill I'm expecting happens over here. Okay, still we didn't reach to this fair value gap over here, and I'm just waiting for the market, but I still believe that market should trade below and reach to this level over here. If you want, you can also enter once it reaches to this fair value gap or this breaker block, or there is another breaker block in this red candle that I mentioned, that I'm highlighting. Alright, now you can see in this time window that I highlighted, the market has started its move after touching the high of the first presented fair value gap. If you measure from here to the low of this candle, we have 88 handles, which is quite considerable, and the low of this candle can be our first partial exit. Okay, apparently this became our breakaway gap. I would like to add these breakaway gaps to my studies over here and kind of check how the market is creating these breakaway gaps in order to get a better understanding. This means we are not expecting this gap being traded into. I just tap to the CB fund over here. Now after hitting this CB here, I'm expecting kind of run below this swing low over here. The market should not spend a lot of time inside this. Get into the breaker block and let's see if the market is reacting from here or not. In my opinion, it should react from this and sends the price for lower to go at least below this swing low over here. Okay, now still we see the market is trading in this area inside the fair value gap. Okay, we got into the fair value gap that I was expected to be breakaway gap. Maybe, yeah, as I said, I'm adding this for recent studies into my journey. I would like to see how it's happening, these breakaway gaps. Okay, now we are trading into the first presented fair value gap, and let's see. We can put this as a fair value gap. It's getting a little messy over here. I'd like to clean this, and let's see what we have here. Okay. I will be here around 5 or 10 minutes more, and after that I'm saying goodbye to you. So we both have a very good day, and starts our journey. Okay. Once again, we are trading into the 5-minute fair value gap, and we are getting lower prices over here. Consider that over here we have relative equal lows, and below them we have the new day opening gap and sell side liquidity from Asian session. So we have a lot of things over here, and in my opinion we have nothing to do for going north. Very nice reaction from this fair value gap. For the last try, I would like to kind of act emotionally here and enter for short with 20 handles, stop on 20 handles, target. The entry here is based on the low of the first presented fair value gap and midpoint of this 5-minute CB. So far we are not in a good position and we are seeing our stop is getting hit. Yes. Okay. I think for today we can say it's enough. After this second loss, I'm not feeling a little well. I have to go and refresh myself. Have a good day and good trading.